Right, on to any other news, Harmy. But before we talk about the uh, news on the rest of the world from the rest of the world, let's just talk about the England T20 squad. We mentioned last week, didn't we, that the well, actually, no, I mentioned with John Norman during following on after the first after the first two IDIs that Ben Duckett looked absolutely spent. I mean, I could see on television his eyes looked glazed over. He was in desperate need of a rest, and evidently that view was shared by those whose opinions matter. And Duckett is now being rested from the T20 squad. But more interestingly, Sam Curran is back. Did that require some pride swallowing from the hierarchy? They've frozen him out for a year.
Yeah, I think pride swallowing possibly. I think want him to know. We don't know what conversations are going on behind closed doors. I think you have to keep doors open because you don't know where you're going to be from a team selection point of view, and with the amount of cricket that England have coming up, I would never close the door on someone like Sam Curran or Liam Livingstone. I think I'd have sat them both down and said, right, you made your point, right? You've gone. You want to play franchise cricket. You've gone around the world and you've done that, right? Is there an element of selfishness where they've looked at how much money they can make in these franchise tournaments and prioritize that over England? And I think I'd have sat them down and gone, right, you've had a year, you've done great, but we feel as though you can represent England and add value to this group. Now you have to do it our way. You can't just go off and play, and you can't throw your toys when we tell you you're not going. You're on a contract. We think you're one of the best 15 players in our T20 squads. Do you want to be involved on our terms? Not in our terms, but in our terms. If you do, we'll start integrating you back in. If you don't, then we'll just not pick you. Simple as that. We'll keep you where you're going. You can keep going play the 100. You can keep going playing MLC. You can keep going playing IPL and all that. You will get to play the IPL because everybody plays the IPL. The rest of the time, you play for England because this is what we need you to do. And I would wonder if somebody said that to Sam. Do you want you're a year experienced down the line? Do you want to be part of this group or do you not? And I'd hope Sam would say yes, but it would have to be on England's terms. And that, for me, I would hopefully an adult in the room would have a conversation with him. Because I think in T20 cricket, I think he's important. I don't think he's important in 50 over cricket, but I think he's important in T20 cricket. And I think Liam Livingstone is as well. So I like the Sam Curran coming back in. Totally agree, Ben Duckett. He needed a rest. I was surprised he was in that T20 squad in the first place. Jordan Cox needs to come into there. 100% agree with that one. I think that is a no-brainer at all. I think he needs to sample international cricket because he could be a broken finger away being thrust into an Ashes series. He really could. Whether they go with Ollie Pope if something happened to Jamie Smith or Jordan Cox. But I think Jordan Cox needs to play international cricket as much as we possibly can over the course of the next few weeks to make sure that he understands what it's like to walk out in front of a bigger crowd, international environment, because he's going to be for me. He goes as a backup wicketkeeper into an Ashes squad, and that's really, really tough. So from that point of view, I just wonder if Curran has been sat down and talked about where do you see the next 12, 18, 2 years that your roadmap is. And if it is, I just want to play franchise cricket, there's the door. See you later. I'm not bothered about picking it because I really don't care. It's about England. If you want to be part of this, you are on our terms. And if you do, we'll bring you back. I would like to think that conversation was had, whether it was or not. The way Keezy talked about Liam Livingstone to Nasser and others, not sure that would have been the way the conversation went, but that's where the conversation would have went if it was me.
Yeah, word has it that 2 years ago, when Sam Curran was the most expensive purchase ever in the IPL, he was on 150,000, preposterous money, $150,000 a game or something, and England players were recalled before the finals. And word has it that Sam asked the question, "Is it possible for me to come back?" a couple of days later, and I don't think that went down very well. And I think that may have given him a bit of a reputation. But do you know what? If I was on $150,000 a game, I might have asked for an extra 24 hours as well. But let's move on to Matt Potts, who's been sent back to Durham to play in the county championship. Is that to help them avoid relegation, or is that looking ahead to the Ashes? Also, Ollie Stone. That's an interesting point on the similar subject. Ollie Stone joining Middlesex on loan for the last two championship games. Is that also to see if he can squeeze in to the Ashes squad?
I think it is. I think you're 100% right, man. I think the Matt Potts one's a frustrating thing for me. Potsy's a little bit like one or two of the other ones, the likes of Jacob Bethel and alike, where because you've got such big series on the horizon, i.e. India and the one-day series and everything else, and you've got multi-format players, you want them to be around because you, just in case you get an injury, you don't want them flogged in, playing a 4-day game, going into possibly an injury and going into an Indian Test series. So I think I always find it's a fine balance from a selector's point of view on how you look after these players. It culminates with Matt Potts hardly playing any cricket for Durham this year or at all, and Jacob Bethel going into the one-day series having faced 350 balls in professional cricket this year. These are unfortunately the negatives you have with these type of players. I think once Jamie Overton decided that he wasn't going to be playing in the Ashes, then I think Potts and Stone now are the ones that are probably going to benefit from that selection. And they need to play 4-day cricket. Potts needs to go to keep Durham up. He needs to go and get a bag of wickets. He's got 3 games, 3 first-class games. He's got to play in all 3. He's got to tell them he's going to play in all 3. He's got to demand he plays in all 3. And he's got to go and get, if he goes and gets 15 wickets in the last 3 test matches, 15, 16 wickets in the last games, or maybe he's a little bit more. 1, Durham stay up. 2, he gets confidence. And 3, he then goes on, for me, he goes on the Ashes tour. Because I think the thing about Matt Potts is he's so reliable as a bowler that I think England sometimes look past him. Where, in my opinion, I think with all the chopping and changing and bowlers being fit and Archer and Wood and everything, we're looking for pace. I think we needed to search and say, right, we have one seamer who will play across the board, and we'll build an attack around him. Now, Matt Potts is not the name that's like box office name that you're going to go, right, we're going to build an attack around him. But a little bit like Chris Woakes, you know for a fact that every single week he's going to turn up. You know for a fact what you're going to get with him. And you can, he's very, very durable and reliable. So for me, I think Potts is now in the contest of Ashes selection. Now, Jamie Overton's decided that he's not going to go to Australia. The Ollie Stone one, he needs to bowl overs. I mean, a little bit. I don't think you can take Ollie Stone, Mark Wood in the same Ashes touring party. You can't. It's impossible. Unless you're going to take an extra player, 2 players. So Ollie Stone possibly is either clutching at straws to try and get him some game time to have him in Australia with the Lions. I think the best case for Ollie would be the Lions. You can't possibly have Ollie Stone and Mark Wood in the same touring party to Australia. I mean, I went in 2002-03 with an injured side. I think we took about 25 players to that trip. And I mean, it was like a revolving door before the first test match on who was going through the physio's route. England they need clarity. They need their best team out there. And if they are going to have one injured bowler that they're not sure on, hasn't played for a while, has to be Mark Wood. It can't be anybody else.